I've played with the brand new Lavaloon Puppet for hours on the dev build of the game, and using that testing as well as all of my experience with different pieces of equipment in the game, I can confidently say that the Lavaloon Puppet isn't good. It's absolutely broken. So in this video, I'm going to be breaking down the stats of the Lavaloon Puppet, explain why the Lavaloon Puppet is so good, talk about the best synergies that it has, and then give you an updated upgrade priority based on the Lavaloon Puppet. Let's first take a look at the actual stats and bonuses for the Lavaloon Puppet. This equipment will spawn 1 or 2 Lavaloons every time that you activate it, and based on the level of your equipment, the level of the Lavaloons that are spawned will change. You will also get a bonus to the Grand Warden's damage per second and hit point stat. Now level is very arbitrary, so I made a chart with the total DPS and hit points of the Lavaloon, and I put it right here for all of you to have this information. You'll notice how I have level 9 highlighted specifically. This is because this is the level you go from spawning 1 Lavaloon to spawning 2 Lavaloons. Now I graphed both of the Lavaloon DPS and hit points, and you can see that it's a rather gradual increase except for at level 9 where it gets a huge jump. This is really important because it means that once you get to level 9, you're basically going to get linear returns on your equipment upgrade. And by the way, this is one of the only times that an epic equipment does not get a big boost at level 18, so it is a pretty big change. But what about the passive stats? Are they any good? No, the passive stats are actually garbage. This equipment is literally worst in class for both DPS and hit points for the Warden, so if you're going to decide to use this equipment, it is not going to be for the passive stats. But aside from the numbers, the big question is whether or not this equipment is actually good. First of all, Lavaloons themselves are actually really good, but when there's only 1 or 2 of them, they don't do that well against enemy defenses. So this equipment basically sucks, right? Well, not exactly. One of the most attractive parts of the Lavaloon is the amount of hit points that it actually has. And those extra hit points could be completely fundamental in soaking up some black air mines. Now this might be a little bit of a stretch, but because Lavaloons only target air defenses, it's actually really easy to get them to completely go across the base and soak up bombs and air mines on the way. But you guys are probably like, alright BD, you said this was broken and this doesn't sound really broken. So let me explain. The key stat that you should focus on, in my opinion, is this one right here, the total housing space. Now 23 housing space doesn't seem like a lot, especially if you're a Town Hall 16, but if you're a lower level Town Hall like Town Hall 11, 23 housing space could make up almost 10% of your total housing space. Now if you're getting 2 Lavaloons, that's an extra 46 housing space. However, if you're using the clone spell, things start to get a little crazy. This is because from Town Hall 11 all the way to Town Hall 16, you can actually clone a single Lavaloon with a clone spell. So with 3 clone spells, you'll actually get 3 extra Lavaloons, making the grand total 5. That's 115 extra housing space, and it's really effective too. Because not only are the DPS and the hit points cloned, but also the death damage and the ability to spawn Lavaloon pups. And for those of you that are wondering if this was strong at all, I literally one-shot max Town Hall 11, Town Hall 12, Town Hall 13 and Town Hall 14 bases on my first try, and I had overkill every single time. It is insanely strong. At those specific Town Hall levels, it's not just good, it's phenomenal. But then the question becomes, what happens at Town Hall 15 and Town Hall 16? At those Town Halls, in my experience, it's not as strong for a couple of reasons. First of all, the clone spell is going to get really good, but you'll never be able to clone 2 Lavaloons, meaning that you're always going to be wasting clone space. Second, the effect of the extra housing space really diminishes as you go up in Town Hall level. And third, the monolith is an absolutely devastating defense for the Lavaloons. The nice thing, however, is the fact that as long as you have 2 Lavaloons, the Warden will actually follow both of them, giving them the extra effects from all of his other equipment. And that brings us to a very important topic: which pieces of equipment have the best synergy with the new Lavaloon Puppet? Now I know what everyone's thinking, and unfortunately the answer is no, the Lavaloons do not benefit from the Eternal Tome. This is because the Lavaloons actually spawn right after the tome goes off. This doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing, however, since the Eternal Tome can protect your dragons while the Lavaloon gets ahead and tanks for bombs. Where this gets really powerful, however, is when you use your Eternal Tome on dragons and a blimp, and then you just save your clones for the Lavaloons and use them later. By doing this, I was able to completely overwhelm bases and get easy triples at lower town hall levels. So the Eternal Tome is a decent option because it naturally fits into air attacks and it doesn't take anything away from the Lavaloon Puppet. When we consider the Fireball, however, things get a little bit more complicated. Because the Fireball and the Lavaloon Puppet are both active abilities, it's hard to see when you would actually want both of these activated at the same time. Furthermore, taking the Fireball means you're not taking anything to benefit your dragons or to ensure a safe blimp or something, and that gets a little bit tricky. I don't think that the Fireball is the best option, and I haven't had a lot of luck using it even with Carbon Finn's brand new Warden Fireball strategy. Next up, let's consider the Healing Tome. The Healing Tome is a really nice touch for middle HP units because it's going to be able to heal 3000 hit points over time. But the Lavaloon itself has way too many hit points to properly benefit from the Healing Tome, and thus I would rather just prefer the Eternal Tome in its place every single time. The combination that I do think is useful, however, is the Lavaloon Puppet and the Rage Gem. This is because the Rage Gem increases damage by 50% and the Lavaloon Puppet does damage in a number of ways. From its primary bomb attack where we get the DPS, the death damage that it does, as well as the spawned units that it creates. Therefore, the Rage Gem gets tremendous value when used with the Lavaloon Puppet. And remember that this applies to any of the clones as well, so you'll get bonus damage in that regard. Thus, the two best synergies will come with the Rage Gem and the Eternal Tome, and personally, I have had a lot of good fortune with the Eternal Tome Lavaloon Puppet combination. So how is this going to shake up the equipment upgrade priority? Well, if you're between Town Hall 11 and Town Hall 14, as most players are, I think it's an absolute must that you use this piece of equipment because of how powerful it can be. Thus, I would recommend upgrading your Eternal Tome, your Lavaloon Puppet, and your Giant Arrow to at least level 9 so that you can take out some sweepers. This would give you the strongest air attack combination, but there's still a question that we need to answer. Considering that smash attacks are meta right now, should you even be considering switching to an air attack strategy just because of the Lavaloon Puppet? It is 100% true that smash attacks like the Super Witch Smash are really strong right now, but the problem with them is that you need to have high level equipment, specifically your Fireball, your Earthquake Boots, your Spiky Ball, and your Magic Mirror to actually see the full benefit of the smash attack. With the Lavaloon Puppet, you really only need a few pieces of equipment leveled up to see the effects, and most players already have the Eternal Tome at max level anyways. Thus, I think it's easier to just get into the Lavaloon Puppet attack strategy, and I think it's an easier attack to pull off in general. And for those of you that are wondering, I will be sharing a guide on it very soon. But it's really important that you decide for yourself whether or not you like air attacks or ground attacks better, since both of them have different upgrade priorities for your equipment. In terms of the overall equipment ranking, I'm not really sure about the top level of the game, but I know that below Town Hall 14, the Lavaloon Puppet is a top 5 equipment. It is really that strong. Now, the only way for you to get the Lavaloon Puppet currently is in the metal shop for the Mashup Mania event. And in that shop, we have tons of other cool stuff like the brand new Bubbling Boil Cauldron decoration, as well as the elusive and rare Starry Ore, which you will need a lot of to upgrade your Lavaloon Puppet. So go ahead and check out this video right here to learn the ins and outs of the event, as well as the best rewards that you can get for both free-to-play players and spenders.